Hello and welcome to the first dry loaner tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to create a mushroom. Now we're going to be working on a fantasy mushroom here. We're not going to do anything fancy like a realistic looking mushroom. And we'll only be working on the mushroom here. I'm not going to show you how to do the trees or the grass because this tutorial is targeted for beginners, okay? It's for people who are trying to learn how to use Blender, and this demonstrates some of the basics of modeling, some of the tools, texture painting, and some basic shader setup. So we're just gonna jump right in and make a mushroom. So open up Blender. All right, and I'm using Blender 2.73, but you can pretty much use any version of Blender because this is so simple that I think you can probably do this in MS Paint if you wanted to, but I wouldn't do that if I were you, actually. Anyway, so we're gonna just hit Tab, go into Edit mode, and just take this default box, the cube, and just drag it up, just drag this shit right up over here, so it's level with the grid here, because it just looks stupid when it's halfway down. It's so annoying. All right. Okay, and now select face select down at the bottom and select the top face of the cube, then just drag it up. And we're trying to create the stem here, so what you need to do is scale this down a bit. So hit S on your keyboard, scale that down right about here. That should be good. And we're gonna create the cap support. So this next part is gonna have to be extruded up, and it's gonna be supporting the top of the mushroom. So this is the stem. This is gonna be like the under the cap part, and then there's gonna be like an umbrella over it. Okay, so E, extrude this up, and then hit E again, extrude that up, and then hit S and just scale that shit right out. Look at that shit. All right. Okay, now what we need to do is add the umbrella, the cap. To do that, we need to select all of these faces and extrude them out. But you can either select these one by one, hold shift and right click, or you can do alt and right click and select all that shit in one go. Look at that. They're all there. Just bam, look at that. All right. That's actually not that cool, but it's very useful for detailed objects. Saves a lot of time sometimes. Now if you extrude this out, it's gonna not do what we want. It looks really stupid. I mean, look at this. What is it? All right, so undo that. Don't extrude it out like that. With these faces selected, click extrude from the tools menu, and then choose region, vertex, normals, and then drag that out to right about there. And now you have a decent umbrella type thing here. But these edges are way too thick. I mean, holy shit, they're fucking thick. All right, so we need to just we need to scale those down. So hit S and then Z to lock it in the Z axis and just scale that shit right down to right about here. And that's pretty good. And you might want to just left click on that blue Z axis arrow and just drag that down a bit. And there you go. That should be pretty good. Now we have our basic mushroom shape. But now you might be thinking, hey, that looks really shitty. That doesn't look like a mushroom. It's all blocky, and I don't know what kind of an idiot thinks this is a mushroom. And you're right. It looks stupid. So what we need to do is smooth this out. To do that, we're going to add a subsurface modifier. And a real easy way of doing that is hitting Control and then pressing 2 on your keyboard, and that adds the subsurf modifier. Or you can take the really long way and go to the modifiers panel here, add modifier and subdivision surface, and that'll do the same thing. I don't suggest it because it's just longer, and why would you want to waste time out of your life adding a subsurf modifier? Seriously. All right. Now we need to fix this. The stem is all round, looks stupid. Look at that, it's just floating. Like, oh my god. All right, so hit Control R, and we're gonna add a loop cut, and just left click and drag it down, and now we have a much better looking stem. All right, and now we need to fix the cap here, so we need to add more loop cuts. So Control R and then scroll up on your mouse wheel, and you can add like 1,000,000 of these if you wanted to, but don't, because it's a waste to do that, okay? All right, so we're just gonna add 3, and then left click and then right click to leave them in place, and then choose vertex select down here at the bottom. And then now we need to select the middle ring here, so alt right click like a fucking man, all right, or a woman, you know, women and men. There are some women that'll kick your fucking ass, so don't fuck with women, all right. And so we need to scale this out and give it a better shape. So just turn on proportional editing at the bottom here, and then S, and scale that out, and just give it a round shape like that. That looks pretty good. And that pretty much is our mushroom shape. This looks pretty much like a mushroom here. Tab out, and you can choose smooth shading from the tools panel here. And look at that. That looks pretty much like a mushroom. It's pretty good. That's the shape. We're pretty much done modeling it. So now we need to texture it. I mean, you can go in and edit the shape a little bit if you want and stuff, but I'm not going to do that right now. So we need to texture this. So tab in to edit mode. And then we're going to select all these vertices at the bottom, these 4 right here, and we're going to mark a seam. That's because to texture this, we need to UV unwrap it. And if we unwrap that now, if you go to the UV editor on the side here, you split the screen in half like that. Okay, so if we unwrap this now, look at that. It's a bunch of boxes. It's so fucking dumb. Like, oh my God, look at this. What are we going to do with this? You can't do anything with that. Like, so we're not going to use that. All right, we need to add some seams. All right, so alt right click, remember, do that shit like a pro. All right, and then mark seam. And then Z, you can go into wireframe mode here, and then you need to get these 4 right here, and mark seam, and then we need to get this. Just get an edge on the stem, and go all the way down on that edge, and then select the bottom 4 vertices, and then mark seam, and you should have those seams right there. Okay, and now we can unwrap it. Unwrap. Hold on. And if you split the view in half like this, go into UV image editor. Look at that shit. Look at that. It's fucking way better. All right, Control L. What we're going to do is move these apart so that when we paint, the colors don't bleed. So right click on a vertex, Control L will grab everything that's connected to that. And this works in the mesh editor too. So it's a very useful thing. And right click, Control L, get all that. G, move it. All right. And then right click this, and we can just use the proportional editing to move this up a little bit. And you can kind of tell that this is the stem, that's the under cap, or the gill of the mushroom. This is the top of the cap. It's the bottom of the stem. Very useless. We don't even have to texture it, but we will. All right. So now we need to add a texture. So hit new, and you can give it any name you want. You can give it a mushroom, or you can name it, you know, like dog shit or penis, whatever the fuck you want. Like, it doesn't matter. Just something you can remember it by. All right, and then we need to change this to paint mode over here on the bottom, and hit T to bring up the tools menu, and to start painting. You can start painting on this now. Just pick a color, and then have your first great dreams come true. You can just paint your heart out. All right. And you can spend a lot of time here, make it look as good as you want. I'm not going to, because this is a tutorial, and I'm not gonna have you watch me paint this thing for an hour. So just apply some basic colors here. And you can't see it being applied to the mushroom right now, but that's because this texture is not on the mushroom. So what we need to do is change this to material view, and actually change this to cycles render, and then go to the materials tab right here, and then click on use nodes, and then add an image texture, and then select mushroom or whatever you named it. And you can also go into texture paint mode in this view here, and you can paint on the mushroom here as well. But right now we're just gonna do the painting on this side. Okay. And I'm gonna lay down colors. This is just painting the bottom of the cap here. This is very pointless. You can literally not even touch that. It's not useful right now. Unless someone's really gonna see the under the stem of the mushroom, which I don't know why you would ever have that, but who knows. All right, so now we can add some more detail here, just like the gill marks. This is just a really quick, really crappy, like first grade job here. It's really terrible. You can also use an actual mushroom texture, like just, I mean, if you want to Google one, you can do that. Or if you have mushrooms in your yard and want to take a picture of it, you can also do that. But I'm trying to go for like this fantasy type mushroom, and I find that actually painting it yourself gives better results for that look. But you're welcome to try whatever you want. All right, and we can kind of just do this right here. It's not really, I mean, this looks really bad. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. But if you want, you can make a smaller brush and just go and really add some detail there. One other thing I want to do is I kind of want to do this right here, and that kind of darkens the bottom here so it blends a little better. And I like to add this blue tint right towards the bottom of the stem. And what you want to do here now is actually, we can get out of the texture paint mode, or we can just close this window and snap it back to the original view here. And using texture paint mode here, select the smear brush, and we can kind of smear these colors so they blend a little better. You know, we're using Blender to blend here. Okay. Probably the worst joke ever told. Let's see. Okay, that's whatever. Okay. There we go. It's not perfect, but you kind of just smooth out the colors here. And one thing we might want to do is add some spots to the mushroom here. So just select like a white color and you can add a spot, but that looks dumb. Like it's all soft. So what you need to do is here, just change this curve to a steep ass fucking curve right there. All right, that's steep as shit. All right, and it controls the fall off, so you can make bigger spots, and you can just spot the shit out of this mushroom. Look at that. All right, it's fucking good. All right, and the spots are all wrong. Like I wouldn't leave it like this if I were you, but this gets the point across. Okay, we pretty much have our mushroom here. You might want to go and turn up the subdivisions, and I'll smooth it out a bit. I'll do it at 3. One thing you might want to do is change the lighting, first of all. Make this into a sun lamp. Select this lamp, and then go to the settings and change it to sun lamp. Get a power 2 or something like that. And drag this up. RXX, and then just point it at the mushroom. All right, and go to world settings, and we're gonna add a sky texture and ground albedo, strength 2. All right, and then that should be, if you render this out now, this is what this is gonna look like. One thing we might want to do is add a translucency to this so that there's some light being absorbed by the mushroom, and you can kind of see it underneath the texture. So let's go to the node editor here, and actually you might want to select the mushroom here. It's called cube, but select that and make sure the material selected here. And we're going to add a glossy shader and a mix shader and a translucent shader and an add shader and another mix shader. And you're going to connect the mix shader, the first mix shader to the add shader, and the add shader back to the other mix shader. And we also need to actually add a RGB curves. And then select the image texture, hit Shift D, duplicate it, change the color to non-color data, connect this to the RGB curves, and connect the curves to the factor here, and connect glossy to the mix shader. Okay, and then also connect this to this factor. So it should look something like this, and you might want to change this to like 0.4 and give this like a reddish color, maybe something like that, or orange, whatever. And go back to 3D view, and that looks terrible. All right, what we need to do is just change the curve here, the RGB curve. Okay, and this controls how much shininess there is and how much light passes through. So something like this, where you get a little bit of the light underneath. And if you go to material, okay, and then if you add like a plane to the bottom of the mushroom, and then if we copy these mushrooms, we can kind of just create a scene here. You know, you can just proportional editing, whatever, and you know, just have multiple mushrooms around here. You can kind of change the shape of the mushroom, kind of, you know, like this. And then if you render it out, you get something like this. It's not perfect, but this is how I made the mushrooms in that scene you saw here. If you spend a little bit of time, I mean, you can tell the grill marks here are terrible too, but if you add other objects to the scene, you can get it to look pretty decent. Hopefully you learned something. I'll be adding more tutorials about more advanced stuff using Blender in a little bit here. So subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and thanks for watching.